Hey, Vibrant Gardeners! Welcome back to Grow with Vibrant Rainbow Gardens. I'm so glad you're here today. We are going to be talking about something that is really close to my heart. And honestly, I feel a little fired up about. There is a myth floating around the gardening world that I really want to bust wide open today. That myth is this: productive gardens cannot be pretty. That if you want to grow food, you have to sacrifice beauty. That vegetable gardens belong in the backyard, hidden away, because they're just not that attractive. You'll simply, that is not true. And today, I'm going to show you exactly why. We are going to talk about where that false choice comes from, how to design a garden that gives you both a harvest and a serious curb appeal. My personal favorite Houston plants that do double duty: beautiful and functional. And the real reason beauty in your garden actually matters. Because here's what I believe: your garden should make you happy every single time you look at it. There's absolutely no reason it cannot also feed your family. Let's get into it. Okay, let's start at the beginning. Why do so many people believe that a productive garden has to be so ugly? A lot of it goes back to traditional vegetable gardens. Those old utilitarian rows of vegetables that were purely about production. Row after row of the same plant. Nothing ornamental, just output. And there is nothing wrong with that approach. It fed a lot of people for a long time. But somewhere along the way, we started thinking that that was the only way to grow food. Then you layer on top of that the generic gardening advice that gets recycled everywhere online. Advice that does not account for where you actually live. And in most of that advice, there is this implied separation. Flower bed here, vegetable patch here. Never the two shall meet. The idea that beauty and productivity are opposites in the garden, that's I don't know whose problem is that. Here in Houston, Texas, we don't have to choose. Here's the thing: for us on the Gulf Coast, we actually have an enormous advantage that most of the gardening content out there does not really account for. Our growing season is long, like genuinely one of the longest in the whole country. We can grow things year around that other gardeners only dream about. That means more bloom time, more harvest windows, more opportunities to have a garden that looks incredible and produces abundantly. So the false choice between beauty and productivity, it was never really true to begin with. We have even less reason to buy into it. Okay. Now, we know that the myth is wrong, but how do you actually grow and design and grow a garden that's actually beautiful and functional? Let me walk you through the way I think about this. The first shift is moving from thinking in rows to thinking in layers. When you grow with layers, you have visual depth, interest, tall plants in the back, middle in the medium height in the middle, low growers or ground covers at the front. There is a structure to it. The same structure can actually work in a productive garden too. Imagine the tall plants of tomatoes and okras in the back. Herbs and peppers go in the middle. Low growing vine like sweet potatoes and dwarf flowers at the base. It's functional, it's gorgeous. You see what I did there? The second thing I want you to think about is using edible plants as design elements. This is the mindset shift that changes everything. Instead of you looking at your basil and thinking that is an ingredient, start thinking it as a design element. The Thai basil has this beautiful deep purple stems and flower spikes. It adds color, texture, fragrance to a bed, and you can harvest it for dinner as well. Okra grows tall and it has this stunning architecture and produces some of the most stunning flowers you've ever seen on a vegetable plant. Use them with purpose. Start asking yourself, what can this plant do for my garden and my kitchen? When you find something that answers both the questions, that's your winner. Okay, let's move on. Third, this is practical for us in the Gulf Coast specifically. Using containers strategically. Containers lets you add height and pops of color and interest in places where you might not have the space. A big pot of rosemary on a patio, a container of zinnias near your front door, herbs in a window box. These things add to the visual design of your outdoor space while also completely being useful. Finally, I want to talk about curb appeal as a motivator. Because here's something I've noticed: gardens that look beautiful get tended. When your garden is pretty, when you walk outside, it makes you feel something. You water it, you weed it, you take care of it, you pay attention to it, and it thrives. So, designing for beauty is not just aesthetic, it is actually one of the most practical things you can do for your garden's success. Okay, this is my favorite part of the episode today. I want to share my personal favorite plants that are both beautiful and functional in my Houston garden. I call these plants that earn their spot twice because they're doing double duty in my garden. The first one is Thai basil. I talk about this a lot and I will not apologize for it. In fact, I grow at least 4 to 5 different types of basil every single season. Thai basil is one of my favorite just because it has a deep purple stem, gorgeous purple flower spikes, and incredible fragrance. It is beautiful in a garden bed or a container, and it's one of those most useful culinary herbs you can grow. Great in stir fries, noodles, salads. Sweet basil, its Italian sister, also holds up better in our Houston heat. Both basil combine beauty and function all in one plant. The next one I'm going to talk about is okra. I know, stay with me. Okra is one of the most underrated, beautiful plants in a garden. It grows tall, it has a structure, um, it is architectural. We're taking 4 or 5, sometimes even 6 feet, and it produces these stunning hibiscus like flowers in a creamy yellow with a deep burgundy center. They are genuinely beautiful. And if you are astonished by a green okra, imagine a purple okra. I like to sprinkle both colors in my garden just because they look so stunning and striking. And then obviously comes the okra pods, which my whole family loves and we never get tired of. Plant that okra in the back of a bed as a structural element and watch it completely transform the look of your garden. Okay, next we are going to talk about zinnias. Zinnias are one of my all-time favorite flowers. And if you garden anywhere in a warm climate, you should be growing zinnias. They might be the best example of a plant that earns twice its spot. They bloom in every single color imaginable. They are pure visual joy. They attract butterflies, pollinators. Some blooms are even edible. You can use them in garnishing salads, make it a part of the salad. You can cut them and bring it inside as a vase cut flower. You can also use it as a pest deterrent, your decoy, and drawing the predatory insects to your garden. It is beautiful, it is edible, it is functional. That is a triple win. Okay, next I'm going to talk about a rosal hibiscus. It is a tropical hibiscus, edible hibiscus. It stops people in their tracks when they actually see it in my garden. It grows big, it's dramatic, and it has this beautiful dark burgundy stems and pale pink flowers. It's such a showstopper, and it's deeply, deeply functional. The calyxes, the red fleshy part behind the flower, that's what you harvest to make hibiscus tea, agua fresca, jams, jellies, syrups. Sometimes we just eat it right out of the plant. It is well loved in Caribbean cuisines, and it handles our heat and humidity like a champion. The leaves are edible as well. It has very high vitamin C and iron. If you're a salad lover, you should incorporate this in your salads. It has a tang to it that complements your lettuces and kale. If you want one plant that makes your neighbors stop and ask what it is, this is it. Finally, sweet potato vine. This one surprises a lot of people. Most folks know that the ornamental vine, those gorgeous chartreuse and deep purple leaves, it's actually an ornamental sweet potato vine. It's a classic landscape plant in the Houston area. But here's what most people don't realize. It is the same species as the actual sweet potatoes we eat. If you let it grow in good soil, it produces tubers you can actually harvest. The leaves are also edible. You can also use them in stir fries and as a ground cover. It fills in beautifully and cascades over the edges of containers and adds that lush texture to any bed. It works as a ground cover. It has an edible leaf and tubers. It is stunning to look at. It earns its spot more than a couple of times. Every single plant in your garden can be chosen with intention. Ask yourself, is this beautiful? Is this useful? The best answer is always both. Okay, I want to get a little personal for a second, because I think this is the part of the conversation that does not get said enough. Beauty in your garden is not a luxury. It's not frivolous. It's not something to think about after you've handled real stuff like soil, water, pest attacks. Beauty is a part of why you should garden. And if your garden doesn't make you feel something when you walk out there, something is actually missing. I remember early in my gardening journey, I was so focused on growing things the right way. I was following so many YouTube videos, so many blogs. I did not even think about how the garden looked. Everything was technically fine. The plants were okay, the plants were producing, I was getting harvest. But I didn't feel pulled to be out there in the garden. I didn't look forward to going into the garden the way I do now. It took me a little while to figure it out why. It was because I had built a functional, productive space, but not a beautiful one. Those are not the same thing. Once I started designing with intention, once I started choosing plants for both their beauty and function, thinking about color, texture, how light hits things differently in the evening, everything changed. I started going outside just to look, just to be in the garden. And because I was out there more, the garden got better. It's this beautiful positive reinforcement cycle. There's also real research behind this. Time in green spaces surrounded by plants and flowers measurably reduces stress and improves mood. When your outdoor space is beautiful, you spend more time in it. And that time, that quiet moments, the noticing, the tending, that is deeply good for you. And I want to give you permission today. I want you to give yourself permission today, if you need, to take care of how your garden looks, to choose the pretty plant and the productive one, to design your space so it feeds your soul and your table. You don't have to pick one or the other. All right, vibrant gardeners, here's your takeaway from today. The myth that productive gardens can't be pretty is just that, a myth. You can design a garden that grows food, looks gorgeous, supports pollinators, and makes you genuinely happy to be outside. And here in the Gulf Coast, we have every advantage to make that happen. Think in layers. Choose plants that earn their spot twice, sometimes more than twice. Design with intention, grow with intention, and let beauty be part of your plan from the very beginning. Now, if you're ready to stop dreaming about your beautiful and functional garden and actually build it, I would love to help you do that. I do offer one-on-one garden design sessions where we sit down together, talk through your space, goals, and your vision. I help you design something that is uniquely yours, something that is beautiful and productive and works for your actual life. If that sounds like what you need, just send me a message. I would love to design a garden with you. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. The more gardens we grow, the more vibrant our communities become. Until next time, keep growing, keep thriving, and make it beautiful. Before you go, I have one small ask. And it actually has nothing to do with algorithms or downloads. If this episode made you think of one person, a friend, a neighbor, a fellow parent, or someone who's always said, I want to grow a garden, I want to grow my own vegetables and fruits, I just don't know where to start, would you share this episode with them? This podcast grows almost entirely through word of mouth, and every share helps someone realize that gardening doesn't have to be complicated or overwhelming. It can be gentle, it can fit real life, it can start right where they are. And if you're listening and wondering what kind of gardener you are, or what your next best step actually is, I created a free quiz to help with that. It's called the Growzona Quiz, and it helps you figure out your gardening style, your biggest challenges, and what will actually work for your season of life. Whether you're a total beginner or just need clarity. You can take it at vibrantrainbowgardens.com/quiz, and I will send you personalized guidance right after. Thank you for being here, for listening, and for helping this little garden of a podcast grow. I'll see you in the next episode.